Sweet E-Pie. Love, love, love. Beautiful energy. You were like the baby of all babies. You were a little cranky when you were a baby, though, I will tell you. You must have been a little colicky there. They all are. Don't worry about it. It's common. But he always knew how to sing to you or talk to you to relax you and make you laugh. That was something very big. He's also showing me a lot of colors. You come with a lot of colors with you, or just a beautiful aura that comes with you. Don't know if that makes sense. So when I say auras, it's like rainbows or anything that kind of shines and has like multiple colors. You're very into bright colors, but you're very quiet. You're very to yourself a lot of times. You can be vocal with certain things, but not everything. It just depends on how you feel for the day. Sometimes you do feel lost. It's almost like you feel alone with certain things, he keeps saying, and it's almost like you wish you knew him better or understood certain things better. Maybe that's the best way to say it, because sometimes it's almost like you're at a loss of words or how to handle certain things or what to say. You know, it's like, is he with me? Is he watching over me? You have so many questions with him, and he laughs because he goes, every question you have is a yes. So just so you know, whatever you're asking him, he's always coming back with yes. Like, am I around you? Am I near you? Yes. You have a favorite color? Is it blue, or do you have something with the color blue? Does that mean something to you? Okay, because he goes on about the color blue with you. You know, sometimes he says you could sleep great at nighttime, and he goes, in other days you're just like, you can't sleep. It's like you're tossing and turning, you get frustrated. Do you have something on in your room at night that, I don't know, that's kind of like a night light or something that kind of shines on the walls or something here by any chance?
We have the lights in the fish tank.
Okay, and that's something bright for you. Does that make sense? He says, does the water get to you sometimes? Does that make sense? Like, I guess when the filter trinkles is really what I'm trying to listen to more. Does that make sense to you? Does it trinkle your filter sometimes or make a noise? As he says, sometimes it bothers you, or maybe something you focus on. I don't know if that means anything to you, but he mentions the filter. He says you have one fish that you love or adore. You're always looking for it. I don't know what that means to you, but it's like an orangey color fish. What's an orangey color fish here? Because he keeps showing me this orangey color fish that always comes around. He says you take care of a lot of things. You're very creative. Do you like to read? Is that my thing with you?
I love reading.
He says you could sit in a book for hours, like a Harry Potter kind of a thing. Any of those kind of crazy fantasy ones you do like. He likes those. It's interesting to you. It's almost like you get lost in your own little world. You know, you're very smart. Sometimes you just don't want to be bothered with school. I'm with you there, man. Like, you're just like, I'm done with this. I don't feel like being bothered. But you're very smart. You got your head grounded. It's almost like, let me just get out of it. You know, let me just get done. Maybe that's the best way to really say it. You know, you can't wait for the summer. Do you do gymnastics or something here? Do you do some kind of a sport? Because he's mentioning sports here with you.
I do ballet.
And that's something serenity for you. Does that make sense? Serenity, it's like relaxing, calming. Does that make sense? You have a grace to you with dancing. So just so you do know. You come with scholarships or offers as you get older. So just an FYI, if you do stay in the dancing area, I don't know if you're looking to go to some kind of like a dance school or some kind of, in that kind of aspect, but he says you'll do it. He says you blend better there. You know, you got too much girly stuff going on around you. Too many girls gossiping and drama and talking. It's so, ugh. He says, isn't it just annoying to hear it all the time? He says, you know, everybody else kind of drives you crazy in the house. You have another sister here that lives with you is where I'm looking for. Who is the female that lives with you? Is it just you?
Well, now it is.
Okay, it's just you as the female.
Her sister used to live with us.
And used to be very close to you too, would that make sense?
Kind of.
She's older than you, though, correct? Right, it's a big gap here. Is that the difference? Okay, so I'm trying to place it at the same time. He goes, because sometimes sweet, sometimes nasty. It wouldn't fit you, so sorry. And that kind of nasty, yeah. You know, because I'm like, it doesn't really fit you in that aspect. He's like, but you, he goes, I'm sorry that she's always so grumpy or nasty sometimes. You know, you miss her 1 minute, another 2 minutes later, you're like, yeah, I'm good. He says, because you finally got your own room or your own space. Maybe that's the best way to say it. He says you're very particular in your room and your setup and where things are or where things are left. You may not be so neat with everything, if that makes sense to you. He goes, but you're neat in your own weird kind of way. You do like to write. You're very big for writing or journaling a lot of emotions. He says he's also coming through as you have a thing where you wake up in the middle of the night, but do you hear something? Is it music? Is it something that kind of twinkles with you? But what is it? Because he keeps saying something wakes you at nighttime. Because I have to say, you're a good sleeper usually. You're not so bad at sleeping.
I like to sleep.
Yeah, he says you can sleep for hours. You can nap in the middle of the day like it's nothing, man. Bless your soul. He says, but you also can eat a lot at certain times, and then you don't eat anything. It just depends on your day. But he says you're a good eater with certain senses. But the noise at nighttime, it's almost like he's trying to show you that he's there. You have a song with him or some kind of a song or music or a sound he's trying to put to me that kind of reminds you of him or the two of you. Does that make sense? He says sometimes you play it. It's almost like sometimes I say it's like meditation for certain things, you know, for certain people, but it's like a serenity for you. Did you ever do a dance or something that is symbolic to your brother?
Not really.
I don't know what that means, but something may come up with that. So I'm just going to give it in that kind of direction because he mentions your music and dancing. He mentions it with him. So I don't know where that will hit you eventually. It may not be now. It could be also something that comes later on is maybe the best way to really put it. He also says you come as you've been so stressed. Bless your soul. Oh my God. He goes, you've been everywhere. He says praying every single minute, every 2 minutes, just trying to relax a lot of different things here. It's almost like you're looking for answers. You're looking to breathe. He says there's days when you wake up, you don't even know what day of the week it is. It just depends on your day. You know, it's just because lately it's like as fast as everything is happening to you, as fast as everything is getting smacked back in your face. It's almost like you're torn between so many different places. It's like I'm trying to be a mom. I'm trying to balance out a household. I'm just trying to do so many things. And it's like, when do I get to break and breathe and just be me, if that makes sense? It's almost like you haven't had that break or been alone in your thoughts in quite some time is how he's putting it to me. Keeps mentioning your porch. Are you both porch people, meaning you like to sit outside a lot of the times? You're swingers. That's what I have to say. You know when you swing on the porch a little bit or you're just rocking on the porch? It's almost like you can chill for a lot of different things. It's almost like you both have so much on your mind, but sometimes one's lost in a book, one's lost in her thoughts. It could just be optional which way we're going to go. And in between, he says you two are hysterical. You'll have conversations. Like it's like you'll pop out a question, you'll pop out this. He's mentioning flowers. So I don't know if you're looking to plant flowers or to put flowers in front of the house, but he's looking for colors or some kind of a plant, but it has to be colorful and simple for you. He says, because you don't need another chore lately. He says, because you've had so many damn chores lately, you don't even know what you're going to get done anymore. He's also saying that, you know, you come with a little peace and disagreement. So you have one child that's still giving you a hard time. Does that make sense to you? Is it the brother? Does that make sense? Okay, so it also comes through as a sister. Does that make sense as well? One's very defiant, very crazy with the mouth. He keeps saying the mouth is out of control. You know, you're the mother. Don't let them preach to you. Listen, you all mourn a certain way. And he goes, everybody is angry. They're mad. They're upset. They're depressed. But everybody's using, you know, not you though. So I have to exclude you into this part. But it's almost like they use what happens to me as an excuse to be what they are. Does that make sense? He goes, and that's not an excuse. He says, you're the only one who don't do that. You're different. So are you the baby? Ah, you're different. You're completely different in every direction. I will tell you that. You know, he likes little with sisters. You're more patient. You were the more calmer one. You know, the other one a little crazy. He says she's been a little wicked lately. That one. He's saying she's got a mouth where you just got to tone her down. She's almost thinking she's doing everything right. She has a child, or is it someone else there that has the child? She has the child? Okay, because he's saying, he goes, sometimes you're telling her how to, not saying how to raise your grandchild, but to be responsible for certain things. Does that make sense? She takes it in a whole nother direction, I will tell you that. It's almost like she's taking you as you're wrong and you don't know what you're talking about and you don't know what's going on. She's cute, but you know what's going on. I feel like this kid has been sick, not sick, sick, not sick. You know, always something. And it's like she's not paying attention to things. She's too busy with going out or maintaining herself. You know, so it's almost like she's got to get a grip on life. He goes, I'm tired of this crap. He goes, sometimes it annoys him for her to act that way. She's stubborn. Whereas the brother, he does come in as you have to watch on eggshells. So you do have an issue that is arising here again, or something that is coming into play here again. So you need to be very careful with it, because it's almost like it's repeating itself again in a slower mode, but it may hit faster rather than later. So just an FYI onto that note, because he does bring that up. Who has a red car? Is your car older? Not that old though. Yeah. You got to watch your batteries. Do you have a problem with something starting all the time, or does it get moody with you with something?
Not yet.
Be careful with it, because sometimes it might feel like it's not turning over or something. It's nothing major. I may be very honest with you. It's like a battery. You may have to just replace something. So just FYI, it's nothing major. But it's almost like it's not a day for it. Do you understand my point? It's like one of those days when you get up and you're like, oh my God, not today. It's one of those days. So I just got to forewarn you. Whereas you have one teacher that is crazy. Is that correct? That kind of drives you crazy lately? Maybe just too much work or too much homework or something here? You like work. You just like to be busy. I will tell you that. But one is just too much sometimes. I don't know how else to put that. It's almost like she wants wants everything to be done like this sometimes. I mean, that's the way to say it. You get it. You know, but you're all about work. Your backpack is killing me, though. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if it's always heavy, it's always big, it's always bulky. But my back is because you're just carrying so much stuff on you. You got to be careful with your back sometimes. You're lucky you don't have back problems. Somebody just leaning over with backpack sometimes. You're always moving and grooving with it. You know, he says, you got to think of crystals or colors here besides the color blue. Ah, rose quartz. Good key crystal for you. That's the crystal of love. It's the crystal of happiness, and it's the woman crystal. So kind of gives you a nice little beauty touch. And sometimes it's almost like namaste with you 24/7 because you need peace, you know. You're very blunt. I have to tell you, you're very mature for your age, if that makes sense, and how you speak. You do come with a lot of challenges this year where people will challenge your mind, so your abilities with certain things. I don't know what that means to you exactly, but it could be something with school, contest, or something may come up, but you may come in a challenging situation or an offer, but it's good for you. So just an FYI, it's nothing bad, but it's almost like it should be honored for you. Do you do poetry or something here?
I don't.
Just the writing, would that make sense? Okay, because you do come in with something with writing, and that will come down the line as something with a prize or something to be able to be published. So I don't know what that means exactly for you. But again, that is also down the right, because he says they got big plans for you later on. Like, you come with scholarships, you come with big money. I just don't know which way to put you, because you're loving your dance, and I feel like you want to stay in that kind of direction even as you get older. But also as you get into college, that's where I'm just making that you may have the iffiness. You may come with journalism. Do you see my point between the two and writing? So you may have to make a choice as which one's more important at that moment in the push of my direction. So he says you will choose the right choice, but you won't sacrifice one in order to be happy with another. So I don't know what that means, but you'll be able to have your cake and eat it too, just the right way. So just an FYI for you on that note. You know, he says you don't worry about boys. Boys are annoying to you. He says that's so funny. He goes, because you have no patience for them. They're annoying. They're a pain in the butt in so many ways. You're more of the calmer one for mom, he says. It's almost like you're her peace one sometimes. You know, no offense to your brothers and sisters into that direction there. He's like, but, you know, they always drive her more crazy, and you're the one who's just like, let's chill. Sometimes it's like you two are best friends and in sync is how he kind of puts it. You know, you don't like to leave her alone in different aspects as well. Are you looking for something that you've lost? Is somebody here looking for something that they lost? Because he's saying lost, lost. So if somebody's looking for something, something is still coming back or will be found. So I don't know what that means to any of you two, but he says whatever it is will be found. So I don't know what that means, but he pulls on the chain. He's also saying you need to be careful with your health this year. It's very key for you because you're very tired. You're very run down. You're losing a lot of weight fast. Does that make sense to you? You may go on a diet where you lose weight too fast or do something too fast. You got to be careful with that. Only reason why I say that is your nutrients, something won't balance right for you, and you can make yourself sick that way or run down extra tired. So if you go on to like a keto diet, you need to supplement vitamins or something like that if you bounce very quickly. That's my point, because he worries about you there. He also worries about you. You work at nighttime by any chance or no? Is somebody offering you something for a nighttime job or a nighttime opportunity?
His sister just took a nighttime job.
Is she not a good driver at night? Who's the horrible driver?
She's not a good driver.
Oh, okay, because he's saying not good at night for driving. Yeah, no good for driving at night.
I can't see at night when it rains.
Yeah, they got to be very careful at nighttime with the driving. And sometimes, like, it could be the rain, it could be the weather, it could be just reflection. So I will put it that way. But he's saying no good for nighttime. And you need to be careful with that, because sometimes he goes, you're even distracted during the day. You're on 77 a lot, or you're on the highway a lot or something here sometimes?
Not anymore.
Okay, good, because he's saying that was too much for you. Does that make sense to you? He says too much going back and forth, like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Oh my God, like I feel like you were just on the highway so many times you must have just put your house on there by the time you went on. Like you lived on it. He says, but now you're a little bit closer to home now. Is that correct? Not that close, but you're a little closer to home where it's easier for you. Would that make sense?
Well, I just got different. We've been going down to get my stepson, and he lives in York.
Okay.
So I've been taking 77. Well, now I go down 321.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not
Not as crazy? Okay, because he says it works better for you. This is just a better route for you. I don't know what that means exactly. And you're remarried, correct? He's a quiet one, though. Is that correct? Your husband on certain things? Oh, wow. Well, there you go. Well, maybe he's just being sarcastic. Boy, you're both funny with that one. He was like, oh, right there, 1, 2, 3. And he laughs because he goes, it's almost like you know when he's coming in the house. Does that make sense? You know, the stairs. He kills me with the stairs. Is it his feet or the way he's very heavy on his feet or something on the stairs? Like you can hear it's like constant, and he's just like, it's so annoying. It's like he's got these cloghopper feet, like that just keep. You just sit there and you laugh because you're just like, you just like silent. You're a silent kind of person sometimes. And when he comes in, it's just like, I don't know, it's like Mardi Gras or something over there because it's like the whole world's celebrating the way he's talking. And he's very loud. Like, I don't know if he's tone deaf with certain things, but he's a loud individual, you know, and sometimes has no filter with certain things. Sometimes you're like the windows are open or people around you like, yeah. So you got to watch with him sometimes so it doesn't have way. He laughs at him because he says he's funny, but sometimes he says he's thick-headed. He doesn't get certain things. So I don't know what that means. It's almost like it's one ear at the other. It's like some people get certain things, he says, where others don't get certain things. And he says lately it's just like sometimes he's like speaking to a wall. Sometimes he says he could be a little self-centered with certain things. I don't know what that means exactly. He says not everything, but sometimes, like I said, he's like the thick-headed wall with certain senses. You know, it also comes across as, do you have a competition that's coming up here or something?
Not really.
You don't have anything coming up with dance for the next couple of months?
Not that I know of.
Because he puts you in a competition here, so I don't know. Do you ever do solos or something with solos here by any chance? I don't know what that means for you, but he's speaking of solos and solo opportunities or something solo that will be coming up. So I'm just going to FYI to you. You have one girl that you dance with usually that's kind of annoying. Would that make sense to you? Or I guess part of your group here?
She's not really annoying. She's my friend.
Okay, is she a little too pushy with certain things? Would that make sense?
Not really.
Because he's saying pushy, pushy. She's too much for me sometimes. I don't know what that means to you. Maybe you're just a little bit more patient than he is with things. I don't know what that means in that kind of exact. He says, but sometimes she's too nosy. You have a lot of good moves and you're very particular on certain things. He says, but don't always give out your information, if that makes sense to you. So it's almost like what you have as ideas, somebody else can take it and twist it. So always be careful with that. That would be my best bet to really tell you. He says you keep something of his always with you or in your room. Is that correct? Do you have a piece? Like I'm talking like either a hat or a t-shirt, you know, or clothing or some kind of an article in that kind of sense.
Silence.
That's where the picture came from.
Yeah.
You know, because it's almost like you always have like a piece for certain things. You need it. Does that make sense to you? Because he says you have rough days certain times. You all hate Thanksgiving or something here. Does that make sense?
I don't. She does.
I know you guys like the food because he says you're a treat eater. Does that make sense? You like the sweets. I'm with you on that one. He says you just don't like to have, it's a very hard month for you, obviously, for the month of November. So it's almost like you just wanted to scoot by. He says you even want December to scoot by a lot of the times as well because it's just easier for you to, you know, get through certain things for your days, you know, but you try to balance in so many different aspects. He does speak of the child. So you have a granddaughter or a grandson?
Both.
Both. Granddaughter's your baby?
Mm-hmm.
How old is she? 2?
Almost.
Wow, but she's hyper.
Mm-hmm.
He speaks louder. He's like, she moving. Like, she crazy moving. You got to watch with her. I don't know if it's more you guys or more your daughter in that aspect, okay? Because, wow. She's always in something. So he's saying she's got to be very careful with her because she has a habit of putting stuff in her mouth or picking up things. I don't know what that means with her. I don't know if she just eats stuff off the floor. Or she's just looking to eat toys, but something she could get really badly hurt, he's saying. So she needs to pay attention. Whereas your grandson, he's 4 or 5. He's smart. He's very, very smart. He catches on to things. Sometimes he's very quiet, so everybody gets nervous with him when he's too quiet. He's just listening to all of you. So unless you don't know, he's like the human sponge for things. So watch out, people, because he'll rat us all out. He goes, but he's hysterical. He looks like your son, or does your granddaughter look more like your son? He says because similarity.
Like their parents.
Okay, because he goes similarity.
No, the granddaughter looks more like him.
Okay, because he keeps saying similarity. So I don't know which one he was going. He goes
They
with the
both
personality.
look like their mom and dad.
Okay, like a
mini-me's.
mixture. Mm-hmm. He's saying they've been together for quite some time. Is that correct, them two? Boyfriend and your daughter?
Years.
Yeah, because he's saying quite some time. Up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. Yeah, it's like up and down. He's a headache, though. Does that make sense with certain things? I'm not going to say she's perfect either into the situation, but it's almost like the both of them, I don't even know how them two are together. I haven't figured them two out whatsoever, but he's like, they give me a headache. He goes, they literally give me a headache because they're so immature with things, and then they act like nothing ever happened like 2 minutes later or a couple of weeks later. It's almost like they can uproot everybody's household or everybody's, you know, life for about that couple of hours or days, and then it goes right back to its old self. So he's like, always something, you know. He says, so she's got to really get it together sometimes. She comes with immaturity, your daughter, sometimes. I think that's really what it comes down to. She's also looking for a better job. Does that make sense to you? Or something to move up? She comes with opportunities with that. So it does something is going to open her between the summer and this fall. So I don't know what that means exactly for her, but something will open. But she's going back for certification. She's going to do good with it, but she's got to stop stalling. I don't know what that means exactly for that, but she's got to stop stalling because she'll do good with it. Whereas your other son, that's the one he worries about the most in a different kind of sense, because he does a lot of stupid things and he keeps saying he never learns the lesson. You know, it's almost like he's the one who keeps you up at night on top of everything else, if that makes sense. He goes, well, we all do, but in a different way, maybe if that makes sense to you. Because he's like, I can't just say, you know, he's the only one. You know what I mean? He goes, but lately he's been on edge with certain things. He's also been very on guard with certain things. He stays away from certain times, and then there's days when he's there or he's around. He could be very edgy with certain things or kind of an attitude. You catch on to him more than what she does. Would that make sense? It's just something with her. I don't know how else to put that with it. I really don't know. But he says you catch on to a lot of things. Sometimes you're so smart for your age, you know. It's just it's a big maturity when it comes to you. He says, but you know, you should be a lawyer or something by the time you get older. You just have a tough demeanor to you with certain things, which is a good thing. I will say it's a very good thing. But he does make it very clear that you need to really keep an eye on the son. This one's in his 20s? 25 or 26?
26.
Somewhere around there.
He says he's never learned the lesson with things. Like, I don't know how he's ever going to learn the lesson, because it's almost like he's taken a few hits already and he's saying he's still in the same hit over and over and over. Who is the friend that's always around him? They mentioned one male. So I don't know if it's like a good friend of his or somebody that's just always with him, but he doesn't like one of the friends here. So I don't know what that means exactly. So I don't know if it's something that's old and just pops back up and you guys don't really see it as much because it is a hidden thing here. But he's saying it comes down to a male that's not the best of influences with things. So I don't know which way that's hitting in that direction. Okay, so just an FYI. Because he's like, he goes, it's almost like it goes back. Like he could be good for so long and then I go back and it's something with this person. So I will bring that up in that direction. He says, so, you know, you financially, he says you will be able to breathe a lot better coming into the summer. So you do come with a different opportunity or something else that will open up for you, or a raise or something here, but your money increases here where you can breathe. You will save and get what you want by the end of the day. He says you always carry me with you. Stop driving like a crazy woman with certain things. Are you hostile on the road sometimes? Is that my thing? He says you get a little crazy on the road. He gets a little nervous, but you make him laugh. He says you listen to some crazy music sometimes. Is that correct? Are you classic rock, though? Is that my thing with you? Or no? Because I hear rock music, so I don't know. Who's the rock music? I don't know where he's going with rock music, because he doesn't strike me as the rock music kind of person. Is that correct? He's more of my rap music and dance music. He's not my rock really so much. Would that make sense to you? I don't know if you guys would even know, because he keeps going into that direction. But he keeps mentioning rock music. So I don't know who listens to it or has an interest, but he mentions it. So just an FYI. He says music is relaxing for you, and sometimes you can get lost in your thoughts, and sometimes you do need it. He says he gives you a lot of signs. You just don't pay attention to everything, especially when it comes to things on the floor. So I don't know what that means if you're picking things up, such as dimes or pennies, because he's like, you look at them and you're just like, He says that's him. He's trying to give you a lot of signs, but sometimes he says you just I get it. He goes, which is understandable, but pick them up. When you see that, just think of me, because he's always trying to show you that he is near you. Do you need to sleep with noise on at nighttime? Is that my thing with you? Because he always says you have something playing in the background or some kind of a noise on in the background. He says because it's easier for you to fall asleep. Does that make sense? He goes, or else you're up. You can't have that complete darkness and no sound. So that works very good for you, he says. And then on the weekends, it's almost like you could stay up late very easily, but then you could sleep all day the next day. He was so funny with that. He says, so you can't wait for the weekend. He says you do come with doing great this year, so your GPA is going up. I don't know if that's what you were hoping for or whatever, because you seem to be doing very good in school, so I'm not worried about it. But your GPA is going up, so you will have come with improvement. You also come with something being very busy this summer, so I don't know if you have any plans or something that is going to be good for you, but you definitely have something going on for yourself this summer. It's almost like you need to get away, you need to do things, so keep it moving. What's hip-hop with you? You do hip-hop dance by any chance? Were you ever going to get into hip-hop dance by any chance, or anything in that kind of way? Might be something that comes on there for you. I don't know what that means. He mentions hip-hop with you. So, I'm just going to throw it in that direction, because it's almost like certain things will come challenging or push you into a different sense to try. So just an FYI onto that note. Ask me anything you want. Either one of yours. Doesn't matter to me.
You have a question?
Not really.
You're going to be very successful, so I will tell you that. You'll be very successful. You'll do excellent in high school. You will do even better in college. You will have, the only hard choice for you is just what you're going to major in, whether it stays into dance or maybe into journalism or something else. But you'll have options, and they'll all be your options of what you want to do. Will you dorm away? You're 50-50 on that, I will tell you. One minute you'll want to go, and next minute you're like, I don't know about that just yet. But you'll make a good choice with it. So whatever you do, you'll do great with, so don't worry. You'll do traveling. Do you ever want to go into theater work by any chance? Something may come up with you for school for something, but for dancing in that way. So when I say theater, it'll be in that kind of angle. So just an FYI. Won't be something you do all the time, but sporadic. Maybe something you get paid for, because you do have a great talent and you'll go someplace with it. You have a lot of trophies. Is that correct?
Not really.
He says he goes, what's not a lot to you?
Yeah.
Because he showed me at least 5 or 6 trophies here. Is that correct? Or medals?
I have little ribbons.
Okay, because it's like you have always, you're getting acknowledged for your dancing. That's what he's trying to say. You have a lot of acknowledgement for your dancing. Is that correct?
Not really.
And you're coming with medals or something here, because he's showing them. But it's more like this. It's almost like you're going to get recognized for something here. So just an FYI. You've been dancing for quite some time, though. Is that correct?
I've been taking ballet since last year.
So then you're just going to start. So you just have an opening where he's showing me way ahead of the game. You need to stay with dancing now, so I'll be honest with you. It's good therapy for you. I don't like therapy for you all the time. Sometimes I just feel like it's, no offense, it's useless. Does that make sense to you? It's almost like you don't want to be bothered talking to other people. You know, you're very picky on who you talk to. You're very good with energy levels, if that makes sense. And if you don't like somebody's energy, you will not be bothered with it. You don't entertain nonsense. You don't entertain drama. And you kind of always speak your mind. It's a good thing. Always keep the trait. He says you'll do great with it. Any questions? Nothing.
No, when she was little, she was 13 months old when he passed away. And she slept with me, so one morning I rolled over and she was awake and she was looking at the ceiling. And she said, ba 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 ba.
That's him. He'll always be around her.
Wow. I did not know that.
Well, when you're babies, when we see everything, because it's, what worries do you really have on your back? If you really think about it, it's nothing but a bottle. Just when you're going to feed me. That's the easiest worry in the world. So it's easy for them to get to it, but it's easy for them to communicate with you than sometimes them to communicate with somebody like us sometimes. It's just different worries on the head, different stuff in the head. You know, with you, you've always been the baby, but you'll always be the different one. He built you solid for her. she needed one, you know. No offense to your sister and your brother there. No offense to them little skaters there. But, you know, they're always going to be your challenge. But they're kids. You know, he's just more worried about the brother, though, I'll be honest with you, than he is about the sister. You know, your daughter can drive you crazy. I'll be very honest with you. She can, and can never take that around because she's always right, that one. You know, she's always got to be right. You know, but whereas him, it's like he knows he's always caught and he always plays victim in it. And you have to really get him straight because it's almost like he's got to stop it because where is he leading himself in life? Maybe that's the best way to say it. Where does he want to be? I think that's the big question that he's looking for the answer of. Like, what is your intention of doing all of this? Maybe that's the best way to say it. But he says you finally found happiness, though, in a different kind of way. Does that make sense to you? Probably just in the marriage in that kind of way is where he's kind of saying that direction. He goes, I can't make everything perfect for you, so it would always be different. He says, but something, at least you got something, you know, because he said nothing will ever compare with something with him. Is he your oldest? Because he said you still consider him the baby, even though you're still the baby. But he says, I take credit because I'm the oldest one, I'm the baby. So he had to let you know, I know I'm still the baby. So he says that's why you have such a hard time with things and dealing with it. But at least you have a man that sometimes that when he walks in the room, you can actually roll your eyes and have something else to laugh at. Maybe that's the best way to say it. He says, because just the way he's showing me, the way he enters through that front door or wherever he comes in from, it's just like, oh God, it's home. And you're like, I don't know what's going to come out of his mouth right now. Like, and you all like you prepare yourselves for it. You know what I mean? So that's why I have to laugh because it's just the way you both come up doing it, you know? So he says, at least it gives you something to laugh at. He goes, something to look forward to at that 1 hour. Maybe if that makes sense to you. He goes, because every day is a new story. It's always a story. He always says that. He says, but one day at a time. But he'll always, you had to compare to your brother and sister, no offense to them. You're going to go a lot of places. Just, just be smart with it. That's all. Just be smart with it. Because you'll do great. Different. He says you'll always be smart. And don't pay attention to drama. So wherever that comes from with you, I guess just keep it there. That's my best advice for you on that note. But there's always drama no matter where you go. But you'll definitely do good, not to worry. He'll always be right by your side. Try to ask me anything you want. Both of you, any of you.
Silence.
You ask her about your grandma Janice?
So you're looking for a grandma that's passed over? She just about met you. Would that make sense to you? So you were still young when she passed. Would that make sense?
A couple of years ago.
Yeah, because she says you're still young when I passed. You're still young when I passed. She says you were just like a light when a family was actually dimming, if that makes sense to you. She also comes through as always doing stuff with you. Did she speak another language or did she have her own talk with her by any chance or something here? I don't know what that means because she speaks a little differently with certain things. Does that mean anybody else to you that would be around you that has passed over? Keep that in your back pocket. Whereas grandmother, she comes through as creative, always into the kitchen, always keeping everything calm and in order. She always says you were a mover. Oh my God, you were always a mover. You were always into something. I don't know. It's just a thing with you. You always like to take things at you and know